Okay, so we can say that 3D Mario might be releasing next year. Now I know, we've been saying this for a long time. Pretty much every single year would get their new hype about 3D Mario releasing. But think about it. 3D Mario, the last 3D Mario, hasn't released in, from the day of recording this video, 3,197 days. Now that's a long time for a 3D Mario. In fact, that is the longest that we've had to wait in between 3D Marios. So, is Nintendo prioritizing the movie over the games? I don't quite think so. I think that the movie is going to be kind of like a lead up to the games. So once everyone watches the movies, maybe there's not enough players playing 3D Mario, so Nintendo kind of wants to introduce them to the games. So you watch the movie, you fall in love with the movie, and then the credits roll. Now before we say anything about this game, we just really gotta take a deep look in between these two games. So the last two games was completely separate. One of them was Super Mario Odyssey and the other one was Super Mario 3D World. Now those are two completely separate games, but one game that we didn't mention is Super Mario Bowser's Fury. Now, I wouldn't so much consider that into the days of how many days it's been in between games because of the fact that Bowser's Fury was only like a 3-hour experience. You can easily get a game for more than 3 hours, but that's not 3D Mario. So, if we took all of these ideas, what is it going to be more like? Since the Mario Galaxy movie is of course a Mario Galaxy game, we just got the re-release of Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Is Nintendo leading up to Super Mario Galaxy 3? Or is Nintendo trying to spin us off just to surprise us with the next 3D Mario game? Because you gotta remember that Super Mario Odyssey was more your capture creature throwing game. However you want to say that, it was a great adventure that was sort of complete open world but more in spurts, so you had different worlds that were open world but it wasn't. Overall, I think that this really is great. I truly think that the next 3D Mario game is going to be an open world game, because imagine how great that would be. So all of a sudden you land up on the Mushroom Kingdom, alright? You're on the Mushroom Kingdom, Peach has not been taken by Bowser yet. And you're doing probably 2 missions on the Mushroom Kingdom. Maybe Peach is telling you, go get me some water because I got to feed the plants or the toads or whatever it is. You go and get some water. You return with that jug of water and things start to happen, alright? Because you got to start off a game somehow. You get the water, you last there for 30 minutes when the skies are blue. You really think, you know what, this is nice. I can go wherever I want. And all of a sudden, there's just Bowser. He has some sort of rift technology that can create wormholes, and all of a sudden, this is your cue to go freely explore. So this lands down on the Mushroom Kingdom. Of course, Peach is taken, because what kind of 3D Mario game is it when Peach isn't taken? So, all of a sudden, there's portals from every single dimension. Maybe there's one that leads to Bowser's castle that maybe you could just jump straight into. Or is the open world game sort of going to take a turn? So instead of being able to jump straight to Bowser, you have to get a certain amount of keys. You can either do every single keys and it'll kind of be like the Divine Beast in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you had to collect all of the Divine Beasts and then they would do massive damage. Or you get a couple of keys and you play through the game, because then it could be a harder Mario game, or it could be a pretty easy, substantial Mario game where you collect, or you're like, okay, you know, I got all my keys, I'm doing massive damage, I pretty much did the story, everything that it has to offer. You go to different kingdoms, so maybe you can go and see Donkey Kong. Like in the Mario movie, they went to see Donkey Kong because Bowser was attacking pretty much the entire planet, and you have to close these rifts somehow that lead to different dimensions. Maybe you hop into one of these rifts and it brings you to a different time period. So instead of being, let's just say that Mario is placed well into the future, like 3030. Alright, so maybe there's going to be time rifts that's going to lead you back in time. Maybe there's going to be New Donk City that's also going to lead you back in time. It's going to be New York City of 1995. Who knows? It would be a very, very interesting idea, because then this would be a pretty cool open world game. Now, I don't know. Nintendo could definitely take this in many different ways. An open world game, pretty cool. because we already know that Nintendo wants to make every single IP an open world. Just look at it. Recently, we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is essentially an open world. Yes, there is sort of different layers that you have to break through to explore the game, but it sort of is an open world because you can kind of go wherever you want if they're going to do that. But if they're going to do Mario Kart World sort of open world, because that is where they're taking sort of the Mario Kart series, a game that you wouldn't necessarily thought would have got an open world. So overall, that is an interesting thing. But the one big open world is the Legend of Zelda series, the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So you gotta ask yourself, is Nintendo going to take the next 3D Mario out of proportion? I think that, yes, because a couple months ago, there was a rumor about Mario potentially going through a time machine or whatever it was. That is really interesting because you take that into consideration. If all of this is true, you can go from the past to the future with different Mario enemies, and we could see some unique references of Mario enemies or even characters that we haven't seen in a long time. What about we see Diddy Kong or Donkey Kong or inside of Donkey Kong Country? You go into different realities and you see all of these things start to unfold. Maybe we could go back to Super Mario Odyssey and there would be just a giant T-Rex that would sort of happen. That would be definitely a very, very interesting game, and it leads to the question, what in the world is next? Are we going to be seeing Mario Galaxy 3? Now, although Mario Galaxy 3 would be really cool because, of course, we got the Mario Galaxy movie, you know? Maybe Nintendo, that's what they're leading up to. Everybody wants to play something like that, so we got Mario Galaxy 3. Maybe Mario Galaxy 3 takes some of these ideas. You start off on a spaceship or something after Mario Galaxy 2 and all of those things. You built yourself a spaceship to be far away from Bowser. Who knows? And then you can go to different galaxies and you can go to different environments from past games or Super Mario Odyssey or something like that. And you got yourself your abilities, you know? So all of a sudden, Bowser comes crashing down, steals, kidnaps Peach, whatever the case may be. All of these things start to unfold, and then you got your spaceship that you go to different sort of realities or galaxies, and you get yourself powers, kind of like you're powering up the Odyssey. This is interesting because it leads to the factor of it being open world. You can choose to fully power up your ship, or you can go straight to the boss fight and have fun with that. I think that the next 3D Mario game is going to be an open world. Same thing goes with the next Kirby game, because we did see this sorta in Kirby Air Riders. You did have a open world segment where you were able to try out your karts, which is honestly a really cool feature that just allows you to have fun, drive around, you know, test out your car, see if you like it. If you don't like it, well, go back to the garage and change it. You can have your own garage. That essentially would be sort of like the Mario universe. Nintendo games are always connected in some way because they share sort of the same routes of development, the same route of feeling. Overall, it is something that is very, very interesting, and the next 3D Mario is going to be an open world. I'm saying it right now, it's going to be an open world because the next Kirby game is also going to be an open world, because if you look at Forgotten Land, that was a good 3D game. Now, it wasn't a platformer, it was more like a 3D sort of open adventure game, which is great to see. So overall, open world games have taken the big boom over the last couple of years. Every single game has to be an open world game at some point, just to test it out. But seeing Mario as an open world really leaves you scratching your head, or should we say, scratching your neck. Because, I mean, there's a lot of crazy things to go with Super Mario as a whole. And it's kind of funny, in 2025, we haven't seen anything about 3D Mario. You would think that for the 40th anniversary of Super Mario, we would be seeing the next Super Mario game, the next 3D Mario game. What in the world is Nintendo cooking up? But instead, we got the Super Mario Galaxy movie and the Galaxy games. Maybe it's Super Mario Galaxy 3 that's an open world. I'm just saying. Pat yourself on the back. Which one do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be Super Mario Galaxy 3, or do you think it's going to be called Super Mario 3D Galaxy Partners in Time Rift Apart? Yup, that's the game. So overall, it seems to be a very interesting concept. How do you think that the next 3D Mario is going to play out? Do you think that it's going to be something that I've just mentioned, or it's going to be, no, a 2D game? Because we did get a 2D game. That's not 3D though, so like it doesn't really count for the days here. Also, did you know that I honestly didn't quite know this. 3,197 days equivalates to 276,220,800 seconds. Now that definitely is very, very interesting, so keep that in your back pocket. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Consider hit the like button, maybe subscribing if you're new. I do a bunch of different Nintendo content on this channel, and hey, we got some Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Kirby, pretty much anything you can think of Nintendo. Anyways, thank you so much. Consider hit that subscribe button. See you in the next one. Have a great day.